We have all seen the Palm Islands of Dubai, man's attempt to conquer the ocean by building land on top of the waves. But what if I told you there is a project that did the exact opposite? Instead of pushing land into the sea, one nation decided to drag the ocean into the middle of a burning desert. It sounds like madness, a defiance of nature itself. Yet, in the scorching sands of the Middle East, a city has risen where the streets are made of water and the coastline was created by hand. This is the story of the impossible Sabah Al-Ahmad Sea city.
Hello and welcome. If you're new here, welcome to Amazing 5.
Our story begins not with water, but with heat. It is the 1980s in Kuwait. The country is swimming in oil money. It is a land where the currency is the strongest on earth, where supercars line the driveways of massive palaces. But for all its wealth, Kuwait had a problem money couldn't easily solve. It was running out of beach. The country is small, and its natural coastline was already packed with cities and ports. The wealthy citizens dreamed of seaside villas and cool breezes, but all they had was the endless, unforgiving desert stretching toward the Saudi border. Enter Khalid Al-Marzouq, a business tycoon with a vision so ambitious it bordered on insanity. He looked at a barren salt marsh called the Sabkha, a place where nothing grew and no one lived, and he saw the Venice of the Gulf. His idea was simple but terrifying. If we cannot go to the ocean, we will bring the ocean to us. However, just as the blueprints were being drawn, the sky over Kuwait turned black. In 1990, the ground shook not from construction, but from tanks. Iraq invaded. The dream of a sea city was buried under the rubble of war. For months, the people lived in fear, and when the war finally ended, the retreating army left behind a parting gift from hell. They set 700 oil wells on fire. The desert didn't just look like a wasteland anymore, it looked like the apocalypse. The ground was soaked in oil, the air was thick with smoke, and the economy was bleeding billions. Who would dare to build a luxury city in a place that had just been burned to the ground? But the Al-Marzouq family refused to let the dream die. They waited, they rebuilt, and in 2004, 14 years after the war, they decided it was time to fight nature. The engineers faced a problem immediately. You cannot just dig a hole in the desert and fill it with water. The ground here was made of silt, a soft, treacherous mixture of sand and mud that acts like quicksand. If you built a house on it, it would sink. If you drove a truck on it, it would disappear. To fix this, they had to perform surgery on the earth itself. An army of excavators began to dig. They didn't just move sand, they moved mountains. They had to dig out the bad soil and replace it with fresh, strong sand. But where do you get enough sand to build a city? They invented a machine that acted like a giant washing machine. They took the desert sand, washed it, filtered out the dust, and kept only the heavy grains. They did this with millions of tons of earth day and night for years. They were literally scrubbing the desert clean. As the canals were dug, a new, silent killer emerged. If you bring ocean water inland and it sits still, it stagnates. It grows fungus, it smells, it becomes a toxic swamp. The engineers realized that if the water didn't move, the city would die. They needed pumps, but pumps are expensive and they break. So they turned to the moon. They built massive tidal gates, steel doors that opened and closed with the power of the ocean's tide. When the tide rose, the gates opened, letting the fresh sea water rush into the desert. When the tide fell, the water rushed out, taking the old water with it. They had built a city that could breathe. After 32 years of struggle, war, and engineering nightmares, the miracle is finally visible. Today, if you fly over southern Kuwait, you won't see a flat desert. You will see a blue ink blot spreading through the sand. The Sabah Al-Ahmad Sea City has added nearly 200 kilometers of new coastline to the country. It is a place where the desert has been drowned by luxury. The silence of the wasteland has been replaced by the sound of jet skis and the gentle lapping of waves against man-made beaches. It stands as a reminder that the map of the world is not set in stone. With enough vision, patience, and engineering, humanity can redraw the lines of the earth, turning the driest dust into a sparkling ocean paradise.